All right, we're back.
Patrick Bateman.
Peter Michaels.
So did you watch
No.
the Taylor Hawkins?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I didn't even know you could watch it.
I was curious to see if you'd...
No, I didn't watch it. I saw a few clips that came out. I mean, it's never been a band that I've been overly attached to, so it wasn't event programming that I was necessarily drawn to.
Yeah, I wasn't. I woke up and I was just scrolling through shit, and then I saw it on. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was today. So I just honestly meant to tune in just for a few minutes.
You watched the whole thing? Was it 6 hours?
6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, like
Do you
one
cry?
of the biggest. How do you not? You had Dave up there doing his.
Yeah, he was
There
crying
were so
quite a
many
bit.
moments. But like honestly, for me, that's one of the biggest music events that I can think of. Like I would put that up there with almost any, like a Live Aid.
I mean, it definitely looked like it. It
yeah.
definitely they gave the appearance of that for sure. But was there a charitable aspect to it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. At the last check, I checked right at the very end, and I think they were around 40. There were 40,000+ raised for Music Cares. There was two different organizations, Music Cares, and I forget what the other one was. But yeah, over 40,000. And I don't know. I was like I say, I just kind of thought I'd tune in.
6 hours.
That kept me pretty locked in for the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, how long was Live Aid?
I doubt that long. Maybe. I don't know. And a lot of people that are at Live Aid were at this too, but
Yeah, that's pretty wild. It definitely.
not even them Crooked Vultures playing.
I mean, I
together
saw a clip. I haven't watched the full video. I thought that was an interesting song to choose.
Yeah, well, that's the whole. That's what I loved about it. Because if you go back and look at those Live Aid performances, it's the songs that you expect to hear.
Right.
Whereas a lot of this night were songs
not.
that you
Okay.
would not expect to hear.
No, but it was pretty cool to see them doing that again. I'd like always love to see more of them Crooked Vultures.
Yeah, I hope this leads
'Cause
to
that was a pretty sweet project.
something.
They've talked about it in the last
They
few
have.
years, right?
Yeah, they have. And John Paul Jones is like,
Still ripping.
my God, it's unbelievable.
pretty
And
cool.
you can tell that he's still like the groove is just flowing through.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Very, very cool. So on this week's episode, we have a guest that we'd reached out to a number of months ago to try to get on the podcast because his name is JayWood, and his album Slingshot came out just about 2 months ago.
And of course, the band name is JayWood. His name is
Yes.
Jeremy.
Haywood Smith.
Which, do you know what it's called when you combine two words together? What the terminology is for that?
No.
I didn't know this either until I.
What is it?
I forget. Promanito? Portmanteau?
Portmanteau? How do you say that? Ryan, you're
Anybody?
a word.
There's
You
gotta
know
be
words.
Somebody educated in here.
Ryan knows the
Portman-
population of every city within a 200-kilometer radius.
Portmanteau, Manitoba?
Portmanteau.
No?
All right. Well, at
Maybe
least
it's
someone's
something
paying
I
attention.
just made up. I don't know. You combine two words, it's a portmanteau, or also is a piece of luggage.
Are we confident in the pronunciation of portmanteau, Ryley? Portamento, totally different word?
Even better, portamento.
Well, maybe JayWood knows, but also if he doesn't, you can't blame him.
I didn't want to bring it up with him because I wasn't like I didn't want to put anybody on the spot like that.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised that there was like an actual term for when you combine two words, like brunch. Is it
Right.
Port
Or lunner.
or lunner.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves a good lunner.
Oh, man.
What'd you have for lunner today?
French toast. Yeah, no. So anyways, JayWood is hopping on the show today. I've been looking forward to chatting with him because his songs are so groovy.
Yes.
So groovy. He has this one track, Just Saying, that I had made comment on social media a couple weeks ago as my official walking song of the summer.
Which one was that?
Just Saying.
Okay.
Do you have an official walking song of Summit 2022?
Man, no. There's just so many. It's always different.
But the one that gives you a certain pep in your step.
I do. I've been listening to a lot of Charlie Crockett this summer.
Yes, you have been. Interesting.
So
Charlie Crockett, OGs or covers?
Both, but the one that would be is an OG. I'm Just a Clown.
I'm Just a Clown, Charlie Crockett.
Yeah, that's got a pretty good.
Yeah, he's got some cool stuff. Interesting story on that guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll have him on.
Bit of a wild card.
Okay.
Now we do have our guest in the waiting room, Jeremy Haywood Smith. So we should probably do we refer to him as Jeremy then?
Jer?
Or do we ask?
Jay?
Do we ask?
Jay.
We're about to find out.
He'll let us know within the first 20 seconds.
We see a smiling face.
Set the stage for this entire chat right here.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing so well.
I'm Patrick. This is Peter.
Yo.
Nice to meet you too. I'm Jeremy.
Jeremy, nice to meet you too. Otherwise known as JayWood, one word.
That's it.
We were discussing that was probably pretty easy for you to find a name for your creative personality.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely been a process for sure figuring that out. I've had a few real JayWoods be like, yo, what the fuck? And I'm like,
there is. I did note when I was doing some research. There's a JayWood in Chicago, right? There's one of them.
There is. I actually met him. Funny enough, we met at the tree fort in Idaho, and it was just like, hey yo. So we just gonna ignore this? It's like, nah, let's just let it be what it is. So
that almost sounds like we met at the tree fort, and maybe some punches were thrown as to who gets the name.
Just a few? No, I feel like I think multiple JayWoods could exist.
Sure,
maybe.
Absolutely. The real question is, how soon do we see JayWood and JayWood together?
Ooh,
is there room for collaboration?
Coming soon, maybe. You know, I feel like that would be messy as hell. Man just credits himself twice.
Thanks for hanging out. We really appreciate you spending some time on your hopefully eventful Labor Day weekend.
Oh, it's been chill. It's been really nice to not do a damn thing. So
let's go outside of music. What's been the highlight of the summer for you? Non-music related.
Non-music related summer. Did some good camping, which was really great. Lovely park hangs. Honestly, just seeing for people again and not being like horrified at COVID has just been the highlights.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh, actual real summer is happening. I love this. Miss this. Yeah.
And that's summer spent in Winnipeg?
Pretty much, yeah. I feel like for the last couple months before summer was a lot of movement, and like this was the first couple of months I had just chilling, and I was like, I'm just gonna hang here and not really spend money or do anything and just see people and take it easy a bit.
That's amazing. Now the other highlight of your summer was your album release, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. It was all of July. I mean, it's hard to like not include anything music related because there's so many good music festivals that were just like such a fun time, but like it was just a busy July for sure. But when the album came out, I was just like, oh, finally, it's done. It's over. I'm free.
You're free. That's it was relief.
Yeah, I think just sitting on an album is such a weird feeling of just like, especially once the singles are out and all that's left to do is put out the album. It's just like you feel like so pent up, and when you finally release it, you're like, oh my God, I can think. The lights go back on. I'm a human being again, because the thing that was all consuming for however long is now just out. I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I without this thing, you know? So it's just been nice to reconnect with myself a bit.
And is it pretty much DIY for you? Like, are you doing all the social stuff for it? And
yeah, so I have my labels that I'm very grateful for, but I think as far as like actually doing everything, it's majority just me. Like, I think people think JayWood is like a band operation, but we just do it on stage, and I do the rest everywhere else essentially. So
and that includes actually making the music, writing and recording it.
That includes making and writing and recording. Sometimes I'll bring some friends in to do some parts, like my drummer Ben, who's like an insanely good drummer. I'll just have him record parts for me because I'm not a good recording drummer, but he's just a good drummer all around, so it just makes sense. But
you're bringing everything to the table pretty much.
Bringing it all. All they got to do is say yes and not ask questions, and we keep this thing moving, you know.
Where does that music knowledge come from then? You don't know?
Just happens.
Did I read self-taught somewhere?
Yep, pretty much, more or less. No idea, it just happened. And like I was sleeping out of bed and a lightning bolt just came and hit me, and now I'm here doing the thing, you know.
That's quite, I mean, we've had a number of guests on the show over the last year and a half that are in similar situations, but I'm always blown away by like your arrangements are not like, they're pretty complex a lot of the time, from my perspective anyways.
Wow.
So that's very impressive.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's just like I really like jazz music, and I just like a lot of different music, and I try to take as many bits and pieces from those things that I like and do my best attempt at something that I enjoy. And I think I just make music from like a person with, I'm not gonna self-diagnose myself with ADHD, but like I think I have the mind that like a lot of traits of that, where I'm like, I just need to keep this thing interesting, so I just keep changing things and like, adding things, layers, moments. I think the theme of this album was just moments. It's like make as many moments that I'm like, oh, that thing happens there. I'm like, this is sick, and I'm enjoying this thing, and it's just a lot to keep me interested. So that's the secret sauce.
So as a kid, what was it like? Or did you have parents that were into music? Anybody in the family into music?
Not really, actually. Like my mom sang in church. My dad used to play guitar before I was born, but like it wasn't like a thing that was really happening. Like it wasn't until like high school or even middle school where like, you know, everyone plays accordion, but like that wasn't the moment for me where I was like, I want to be a musician. Like it was high school where I was able to just like, you know, I took guitar class, but that's essentially just doing Smoke on the Water and like, you know, Don't Fear the Reaper for hours on end. And then I was like, I just want to do more. Like I'm like listening to way more music now, and I know friends that play music, and that's what I was just getting into, a lot of new music and just trying to do it as much as possible. And like I think falling in love with the guitar was like the first thing that made me actually want to do music all the time. So
and so you're playing guitar as part of your like what, high school, or were you doing other band geek stuff?
No, it was mainly just guitar. Actually, no, I was also in choir.
There we go.
And there we go. And I was, you know what, I'll let the secret slip. I was also a theater kid, so that gives something. Okay. Maybe I was only in drama for a year, so I wasn't at the point of being annoying yet, but like I was very much a comfortable actor.
Now you said the accordion didn't do it for you, but can you play the accordion?
No, it was
recorder.
Recorder.
Yeah,
okay,
recorder.
I don't think anyone can actually play a recorder, because every time I've heard it be performed, it literally sounds the same. Same with accordion. No, I'm thinking of the accordion and the bagpipes. I only hear the same
bagpipes
song
for sure. Yeah.
For all those things, so accordion, bagpipes, and recorders all sound the same to me.
I once had a teacher that was like a world famous bagpiper. Played for like very like royalty in various parts of the world, and this is in Oakville, Ontario. All right, so just outside of Toronto, and really, really great guy, but a world-renowned bagpiper. That can't be that competitive, right?
Well, I would imagine, and if it's world-renowned, like
I mean, compared to guitar,
sure,
you're looking at thousands to maybe tens.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a different bagpipe song? It's always the same, like. Thing every single time. I've never heard a
shrill.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Shrill.
We should put together just like a good like party length bagpipe playlist, like 4.5, 5.5 hours of nothing but bagpipe.
I feel like that's like military torture at that point.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange style. Yeah.
Totally. Oh, brutal.
All right. Well, we know what instrument we will not be hearing on the next JayWood album.
Or there's the challenge right there.
Yeah, incorporate.
Okay.
All right, there's the challenge.
Incorporate a bagpipe. Okay.
We dare you to play a bagpipe, Jeremy.
Okay, let's do it. Who has a bagpipe?
Hey,
like, really?
We'll find one.
JayWood from Chicago would do it. Just saying.
Ooh. I mean, man's a rapper, so I don't know if he would, but you know what?
That's another in rap. I don't think I've ever heard a bagpipe sample before.
How crazy would that be? That'd be the first rapper to sample a bagpipe.
All sorts of great ideas today.
No kidding. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
I appreciate this.
I posted on my social media about a week or two ago that Just Saying off of your new record is my official walking song of summer 2022.
You did post that.
Because it is groovy, very, very groovy. And we were talking about it earlier. Like, you have to have a walking song, right? Whether it's a seasonal walking song, a yearly, annual kind of top of the list walking song. That's my walking song this year.
Wow. Thank you, man.
Do you have one?
What is my walking song right now? What song? Let me like do a quick scan of my music. I ADD brain, you know, unless it's in front of me, I'm like, what? That's not a thing.
He was leaning a little more country and western with his.
Ooh.
Older, pretty older.
Yeah,
style.
country and western,
Country
right?
and western,
Charlie
yeah.
Crockett.
Yeah, Charlie Crockett. If you
Okay, that's some good shit. I feel like I've been walking to some Steve Lacy lately.
Oh,
that's been a pretty that last album is so good.
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah,
it's like I'm in like an indie movie when I walk to Steve Lacy. So,
well, that's nice. Thinking back on your theater days.
I'm always trying to find my way back into acting. Always just trying to do it in a fun way.
I feel like that. It seems like the Winnipeg, like we've interviewed so many Winnipeg musicians in the last year and a half, and I feel like there's probably room in that scene for your shot to jump at acting again. No,
I think so. Yeah, like that's the nice thing. It's all very, no, the scene's never really touched often, but there's so many overlap of people going to shows versus people going to like whatever performance that you're not wrong. There's a lot of opportunities. I've just not really wanted to get into that type of acting. I just want to like film something and then like not do it in front of people. I don't want to do the performance of acting. I just want to act and then just have it exist.
All right. Well, we can figure this out sometime.
Thank you.
With the Winnipeg scene, like you think of a lot of cities and there's a scene, but it usually has like one kind of like a genre that's attached to it, or you can say that's the rock city or that's the whatever. But the one thing I found with Winnipeg, and like Patrick said, we've talked to so many, it's all over the place. Like it doesn't seem like you cannot define the Winnipeg scene into one format.
Yeah. It's I think that's one thing that makes it so cool and super. I mean, like people are all over the place with what they're into, and I think being in the middle of Canada, it's like I just think we just have to find our own thing and put it out as much as possible, which is cool for collaboration. It's cool for the winter, like when we just go inside and just do creative stuff and then reemerge and be like, here are all our ideas essentially, because winters in Winnipeg, as I'm sure you've heard, are just so brutal. I feel like they really enforce the creative mind. So I think a result is just kind of a lot of ideas coming out of one place.
And it must be nice too, because there's no parameters on it, right? You're just free to come up with whatever the hell sounds good, feels good.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think because of that, it's like I don't really want to, find myself pigeonholed or like having to do one thing for too long. I think I just want to do as many things as I'm interested in, and I think that's way more interesting to me.
So I just can you help us clear up some scheduling, some timeline of JayWood here, because I was going back and listening to some of your older stuff, and there's a ton of content that you've put out. But before Slingshot, you had Time in 2019, right?
Yep.
And also in 2019, you had an EP that you had put out 4 years previous in 2015. That's Sundays.
That came out last year.
Oh,
that one came out in 2021 last year.
Okay.
Last April.
But originally was from 2015?
Yep. The Some Days is I originally recorded in 2015, and then I just put it out again last year on that redone EP.
And so what was the thinking behind that?
I think it was just at a point where I'm like, like it was like fresh into the pandemic, and also like I just put out a full album, and I had that whole identity crisis thing of like, oh my god, I actually have not played music or made music in so long, I don't know how to do this anymore. And I think going back and re-recording that was like my way of giving myself a win and being like, okay, I know these songs, what if I just re-record them, like only I've really heard them, and like maybe like a few friends here and there, but like if I redo these and like put them out, I wonder if they can still be received. And is at a time where it's just like working on this new album very, very slowly, and I was just like, okay, I want to do this, get that boost of like a victory. And thankfully it was just like really well received, and I was like, okay, cool. I think going back and like looking at some of my older stuff was, just a way of like kind of enforcing the themes on the album of like looking back to go forward and be like, oh, if I can look up what I've done in the past and like kind of take something from that to propel myself forward, I think I can do that in everything I do in life. So it was kind of a nice sentiment.
Well, it's very good, very well done.
How much retooling was there with the songs? Did you pretty much leave them as they were from 2015, or did you kind of change a few things?
I kept it, I think as a way of like really practicing a sense of like resistance. I was just like, I'm just gonna do it exactly how it is, because it would have been so easy to redo it, but at that point it would have completely devalued the point of just redoing something and try to keep it as close to the whole original thing as possible and not do too much. And I also didn't want to give it too much time and just be like super just like creative brain about it. It was more just a practice of getting into like the recording and like getting into like, you know, the motion of me songwriting and just playing a song all the way through again. It was just more for that. But yeah.
So aside from the technical aspect of it or the practical aspect, when you go back to re-record with the plans of releasing something that's over 5 years old, how did you feel about the actual content of the music or your lyrics re-releasing it?
I honestly felt so detached from it. Like that was the hardest part about promoting it. I was like I was, it was so nice to see people so excited about it, but I was just like in interviews, I'm like, yeah, I mean, like I don't know what to tell you. I've kind of I wasn't the same person I am now. Like it was so different. I was like not talking about myself really, but it was hard to not be talking about the new stuff I was working on, and like it was so hard. But yeah, I also think it was really nice to have my oldest piece of music right next to my newest piece of music and just be like, look at the progression, look at the growth. It's like it's clear as day. Like you can see the difference immediately.
Layers.
So I kind of layers, all the layers. You can't unsee this. So I was more excited about what that was than I think the actual EP coming out. I was like, oh, this is gonna be super meta in a way of just like, for me, when I look at any of like anything, I'm like, I can look at them back and forth, like that sounds like this sounds like this, and I'm just so stoked to see where I am and where I was at.
What would you say is the biggest difference or the biggest thing that you've learned since then?
I mean, like in terms of music, it's just like the ideas are just bigger on the album next to the EP. It's like, holy shit, like these songs are just like these whole movements, whereas when I was making the EP, it felt very rigid and it felt very boom, boom, boom. Like it just sounds more comfortable in the whole music thing, you know? Like I think I was just like, that was like that first EP was like my first attempt at making my own song by myself from scratch, from like not even playing with the band. And I can hear like my awkwardness and my still figuring things out, but like the album, I'm just like very much chilling and comfortable on my own, and it's so cool to hear.
That is certainly the vibe of the new record, no doubt. Like,
yeah,
absolutely, from beginning to end. And so, is this transition over the years? Is this what you're referring to when? And maybe you didn't say this. Maybe this was on the Royal Mountain page, but moving from sad jangle pop to psych funk, electronic grooves.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
I think that's what we're talking about. When I think of like the first JayWood songs, they were all just very much just like, oh, they just felt like sad boy indie shit. And
yeah.
I was just like, I want to really kind of not just do guitar music. I want to just do whatever feels right.
Yeah.
Like I know the things I really like. Like I love psychedelic music, and I love a lot of the like fidelity that you can get away with psychedelic music and just like production and even in sounds. So it's like I always want to have that element in everything and just make things sound drippy and trippy and all those things. But I think I've always loved funk as well. Like funk was one of the genres while I was in high school that was like so kind of pivotal to making me want to play guitar as much as I was. Like everyone had a Chili Peppers phase.
Yep.
And like, you know, it was pretty important at that time when I was learning guitar to like be a fan of the Chili Peppers and like, you know, Graham Central Station, even Primus, honestly. So like, you know, anything with a slap in it, I was listening to it and playing along to it. So those things were very much like anchor points to what I like to do. But now I'm just like, what other taglines can I add to psychedelic funk? I'm like, what else is there? And it's just been a journey of figuring that out and piecing that stuff together.
I had a moment recently where my younger brother, he's 9 years younger, and he was starting to show, you know, he's all about what's on SoundCloud, and he's very deep into the SoundCloud scene as his primary source of music.
Whoa, sick.
But he was starting to show some interest in Joy Division and The Cure and some Smiths, and I was like, well, you know, when I went through that, I also kind of slowly started morphing into the early Mac DeMarco years.
Yeah.
Which I know as a musician you're familiar with to some extent.
I talk about that era of music discovery quite often. Like, this is when the music nerd comes out. Like, that Mac DeMarco era was insane when it first popped up, because everyone, as soon as they saw or heard Mac, they were like, oh, the DIY indie boom was insane, because everybody, like, there's obviously a lot of like clone bands that came out of that, but like the amount of people just putting out music on their own was insane. So like the user interfaces were just people running stuff on their own, and then people sharing stuff on their own. So there's just so many like small bands that seem way bigger than they were, because they saw one guy kind of do that and be like, you know, I mean, Mac was like a part of like a lot of other people doing it, but like I think, I don't know what it was with the music or the time or that setting, that like that really kind of set off a whole boom of just like a lot of DIY indie bedroom pop music.
Totally. And what I found fascinating when I was kind of going back and showing my brother some of the earlier stuff is comparing it to what he's put out in the last few years, which is not much, but it is a very different end of the spectrum.
Totally.
And he's working, you know, I don't think when I was really listening and following to Mac DeMarco, I ever really thought, wow, what a, like, you know, geniusly talented musician he is, or at least as a skilled player. But his music and his thoughts on music has translated so well into some of the most talented musicians that there are right now, whether it's like jamming with Thundercat or featuring on that new Domi and JD Beck record.
Yeah, or even like playing with John Baptiste for a bit there.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. Or what's his like he jams with what's the yacht rock band? Shit. He did Reelin' in the Years. He covered Reelin' in the Years all the time.
I was at that, bro. When he came to the Garrick and he started playing that song, I was like, this is sick.
Such a heavy riff too.
Oh, it was so sick. It sounded so good. I remember a bunch of kids being like, "Oh, this must be one of his new songs." And I was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
No, this is 1970s. Who did Reelin' in the Years?
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
And he does it just as a cover of it, or it's a collab cover?
Maybe we saw him on a similar tour. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
He was touring with the Courtneys. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, he did a cover of Reeling in the Years, and it was so sick.
That song was stuck in my head for weeks just because they did this like absolutely ripping version of it. It was so sick.
It was so good. That show was so crazy though. Like I remember like it being so insane that like the bass player of Mac's band was like, "Can y'all chill out?" And I was like, "Oh." We don't get a lot of performances here, so when it happens, we get really excited. So
this is the first show that I felt like very old. I was probably 27 at the time, and everyone else was barely 20.
Thinking that was a brand new song.
Very influenced by shopping at Zoomies and you know what I mean? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was a weird vibe. The show itself was good. I had a fun time.
And we heard Reelin' in the Years.
Say, keep going to shows. You just that feeling's not going to get any better over
here.
No,
that's
not going to get any better.
That's fair.
This is the start of forever right here.
So thanks for clearing up the timeline of putting out that Some Days EP, because it is super cool, and just like from beginning to end. And I know you do an acoustic version of the first track at the end, but it seems extremely well thought through.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So I guess good on you for not changing anything the second time around.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Just practicing some discipline for sure.
Very, very nice. So I also wanted to ask you, you're going to Germany in what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
Oh, Jesus. Yes, I guess it is 2 weeks now.
Have you been out there before?
Never. 2 weeks. Oh my God, 2 weeks.
2 weeks to Reeperbahn, which is one of the biggest, is the biggest festival in the world.
Yeah, huge.
No, is it that big?
Well, I don't know if it's one of the big, but it's especially for Canadian bands going over to it though. Like
I thought it was a huge festival. Maybe I'm mistaken.
No, I mean you're not. Like I know that they're. I've heard a lot of buzz and a lot of things about Reeperbahn for years, so I know it was big, but I guess I don't know to what extent.
I think I'm thinking of another festival.
You might be thinking
Wacken.
Well, Wacken is huge for sure.
There we go.
But Reeperbahn, I think there's almost anybody, like almost every band from Canada, I think, has gone through Reeperbahn at some point. Right? That's a huge
like a rite of passage.
A rite of passage to go over.
Yeah.
And you are playing
and South by.
You are playing the Canada House, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
With some pretty cool other names.
One of the artists, Movi, actually played the Canada House for like 3 other showcases now in different places. It's hilarious. Like, we've run into him in Austin, Toronto, Montreal, the UK, and now we'll be in Germany together. It's like, oh man, this is pretty fucking cool that we're just making this relationship through just doing this thing, and it's just really cool.
And do you have any indication as to how your music's gone over in Germany at all, or is it just going in blind? And
going in completely blind. I hope that it's been people like it. I've heard the Germans are notoriously honest, and I pride myself of being an honest person. But I think it'll be something different when someone like hears a thing and has an immediate reaction, being like, "That kind of sucked, bro." And I'm big. All right, man. Thanks for coming out. It's gonna feel different for sure.
I'm
ready for it.
I did see one other artist playing Canada House. Are you familiar with Gus Engelhorn?
Gus Engelhorn.
He's from Montreal. We had him here in Red Deer at Beau's a few months ago, and I just strongly recommend checking him out if you get the chance, because it was.
Will do.
Knocked my socks off.
Who was that here with?
Opened for, I want to say, Plants and Animals, I think.
Oh, sick.
If I'm not mistaken.
I've heard that name for years, yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. But yeah, that bill that you're on with the rest of the Canadians over there at Reaper Bond looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm very, very stoked and lucky to be on board with it with all those artists. A lot of people I've seen their names pop up.
Yeah.
I guess not Gus is one to go check out for sure.
Fairly new. I don't know how you would describe his music. I think some people might find it a little intimidating. But I think that
and straight up solo?
No, well, I'm not sure what he'll do there. When he played at Beau's, it was him and I believe his wife playing drums, who had never played drums before. And did a fantastic job. And just Gus on guitar singing, and he's kind of some of it's a little nightmarish. There's a lot of, I think, like Dungeons and Dragons, like nerdcore involvement in it, if I can say that. But
I love D&D, so
all right.
D&D.
There you go. But yeah, check that out. And then you're coming back October 14th in Winnipeg. Your home show, your album release, right?
Yeah, that's the one. I've not been able to give it as much time and effort as I've wanted. I'm like, I want to do like a cool set design or something, but it's just a me thing. It's just an organization thing. We'll get there. There's always time.
There's always time 48 hours before the show? Is that what we mean?
Am I being attacked right now? You're not wrong. I feel like even just sparking this conversation, I'm like, all right, tomorrow I will do the thing to get to the next thing and get the ball rolling again. So thank you for calling.
Surprise! Yes. It's an intervention. Surprise!
No, like the whole family. I knew this was coming sooner or later. I was hoping it wouldn't be like this. Well, I needed this.
I've loved some of the things you've done on the rollout of SLINGSHOT. So I'm a craft beer guy. So I saw that you had a New England IPA that went along with it as well. How'd that come together?
Oh yeah, it was a cool collab. Like, we have a brewery here called Nonsuch, and they have like a smaller branch called Vessel Beer. And I went to a show last year, and I kind of jokingly was like, hey, I'm always like shooting my shots with like everybody of like, hey, we should do a collab thing. That'd be kind of funny and weird, haha. And like, I know they've done collabs with a few other local artists, but I'm like, hey, I have an album coming out next year. And then that kind of fizzled away. But then I guess it was last year, one of the like representatives was like, hey, I remember like we talked about this. I'm like, did we? And then he's like, yeah, like, do you have anything coming out to promote? I'm like, yeah, I actually have an album coming out. And originally I was like, y'all do cider? Like, I don't drink beer that much because I think beer can be icky sometimes. But I was just like, you know what? If y'all do cider, I'll totally be down. He's like, oh, we could maybe do something. But then we got into the IPA, and I'm like, I'm down to try it out. And I had some of it. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Like, no bias attached to it. I promise that. It was a pretty good beer. And yeah, the artwork was done by Patrick Fernandez, who's just the graphic design artist that Captured Tracks. And it just looks so cool. The can is so sick. I love it.
Yeah, it looks great.
How many did you get to keep?
I have a few at home, I think. But like, I should get more before they fully go off. Like, every time I go to a liquor mart now, there's a few there, and I'm like, oh, this is
that's cool.
Weird
and was
cool.
Is it a brand new recipe? Like, did you get to help kind of figure out what was going
kind
in?
of had something they were playing around with. They're like, we have something fruity and like very tropical and very summery, and I'm like, all those things sound very applicable to what this is, and I'm super on board with it. And anytime I go into a position of like learning, I'm like, I'm hands off. I'm just here to learn. I'm just a sponge right now, and I don't want to be kind of calling the shots at something I don't understand. So I'm happy to just be here and be all ears. But yeah, it's super good. And I think if they sent an email saying it was their best-selling beer all time. And I was
Whoa.
like,
whoa,
shit!
And that's your face splattered all over it.
That's my face splattered all over it. So that was a cool little achievement for the success of this thing. I was like, man, I really think people bought it just because the can looks sick.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for the last couple of years. You could run one hell of a scam just as your beer could be shit, but as long as your label looks cool, people are gonna buy it.
Yeah, it's so true. I've gotten drinks just because the cans look cool. So now I know.
Those are the icky beers you speak of, but not yours, not the Slingshot.
Not the Slingshot. That one's a good one.
So the beer rollout was cool, and then talk a little bit about the vinyl as well. Like, are you a vinyl guy? It's in 3 colors.
Yeah, it comes in 3 colors. There's the green that's the Rough Trade exclusive. I think there's only like 600, and then there's the Capture Tracks exclusive, which is orange, and then there's the yellow one, which is just the retail one that will pretty much pop up anywhere and everywhere. I'm not a vinyl guy, or I wasn't, but I'm slowly becoming one, just because I'm like, oh, vinyl's a lot of what artists are selling now is like their main sense. Like CDs are still a thing, but people are like really pushing for vinyl. So I want to be able to have a bit of a collection as well as just be like a vinyl listener. So becoming a vinyl guy, I'm very like, it was just very cool to hold like the album on vinyl as well. I was like, oh shit, I've never, like, this is the thing that you hear so many artists wanting to do, and it's like, man, this is happening right now. It was a very unreal feeling. So I
thought it was really cool too. You posted a picture of all the American record stores that you know of that are carrying the vinyl, and the list was not small. Right? There were tons of stores, and I thought it like for years now. Yeah, you've been able to track who's streaming you and where they may be, but to actually know that someone in this town could just go there and get your record 1,000 miles away is pretty sweet.
That's insane. Like it's been like when the album first came out, I was getting a lot more posting about it from just like random people, but like it was just so cool to see people that I've never met in different places be like holding the CD or holding like, I got my copy. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? I still have that, like, I don't know if I have fans. I still really like have that mindset. Like, do people even listen to this? Are people really into this? And like to see those things was like a little validating, and just like also like, whoa, okay, so this is maybe the result of working with people that know what they're doing, and like people that actually give a shit about supporting their artists. So very grateful for it all, for sure.
Yeah. And how long have you been with Captured Tracks and or Royal Mountain?
I guess it's been since like the deal got signed in the end of 2020, and they announced it in March of last year. So it's been like
pretty recent though.
And a bit. Yeah, pretty recent. Like only did the 2 releases, the Sundays and this. So yeah, it's been a while. A while as far as the pandemic time goes, for sure.
But it sounds pretty helpful.
Yeah, definitely. They've been really amazing, and like the whole team at both of them are just such lovely people. I'm like super grateful to just know them, and stoked to get to do more with them. Like I want to always be doing as much as I can with anyone, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to be annoying y'all, and I'm not always like feeling like super, like I got this thing, but like when I have something, I know that if I bring it to them, they'll be equally as excited. So that's awesome.
You want it to feel like a partnership, right?
Exactly. I don't want to feel like I'm just not doing my part in any of this. I'm always like, what do I need to do? How can I help? Like, and they're like, we got it, don't worry. And I'm like, oh, let me know if there's anything else I could do. So
and then was that your first instance in your career dealing with the business level of things?
Yeah, it's been a big adjustment going from just doing music to actually doing music business. Of like, oh, like when the contracts get sent, I'm like, I gotta get a lawyer now to look this over, and like that was like a whole weird shift and change, and like talking like email chains, and like I wouldn't think that an hour difference would make for missing meetings altogether, or like, you know, just completely like there was a whole while there when we first started talking where it's like late or missing meetings, and I'm like, oh shit, I thought that was this time. I'm so sorry. It's like I had such a lax way of going about things, and like I think having the business side of things got me a little more like, okay, I have to be a little more I just have to be a little more professional and just be going about this a little differently, and just I just maybe want to step up my shit more than anything.
And again,
treat it a little different.
Same thing with this self-taught. Like, have you looked at doing any kind of business courses online, or is it all just kind of learn as you go?
It's learn as you go. It's just all of it self-taught. I'm like, the people I've talked to that are kind of at a similar point, I'm like, I didn't go to school for this. I didn't learn this. I didn't ask to do this. I just wanted to play songs and play music. And now I'm doing taxes and like doing all these receipts and stuff. I'm like, I didn't ask for this. But yeah, I think I've gone to like a bunch of like conference stuff at like festivals and like and just like listened in on like how to run a music business, how to find balance, and like all the things, all the and any like I would love to take a class on how to do this. I think the one thing that's always the hard thing is just finding the time to, you know, like when you finally have time to not do anything, you're like, oh, the last thing you want to do is fill that time with anything, you know. But maybe little by little I can piece together some kind of self-made business running how-to skill book or something.
Did you have any like mentors throughout that process though, or truly just did it by yourself and the help of a lawyer?
Yeah, I had a lawyer and I had like a manager who was essentially like my age, and like we were both figuring things out together. So like, so you can see a pattern here of like we were. It was easy when we were doing like, you know, like little like shows in like Winnipeg or like Canada where we just reach out, but like then it's like, here's a contract, you got to get a lawyer, and then we're just both like, 2 seconds. Once like, how the fuck do we do this thing? So. As far as the negotiation that kind of led to like the even the contract being sent, that was all just myself and just talking to Jane and like talking to the team and being like, yeah, here's the plan for the album, here's what I want to do. But then as soon as like the offer was sent, I was like, dude, I got the offer, like how do we actually do this thing? And then she's like, okay, we got to get a lawyer, like we got to like go through the motion. And that was a whole experience, and it was like a crazy time, but we figured it out, and here we are.
Sounds all sorts of exhilarating and stressful and confusing. Yeah,
like big time. Like being in the lawyer meeting and he's like talking about all these things on the contract. Like this means this. I'm like, I don't know what that even means.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna say yes. Like I was fully prepared to be like, oh, they sent the contract, I'll just sign it, we're good to go. It's like, no, you should probably look over. I'm like, I don't read the terms and conditions ever. So like, what's the difference here, really? You know. But like when it's like your career,
it's a bit different.
What's it's very different. Yeah, like when it's like your career, your thing, you should maybe kind of look into it a bit more. So
how big a document are we talking about here? How many pages?
Oh man, I mean, there was the first page that was like 4 or 5 pages, and then they're like, okay, now that we've got past that, let's go into the real nitty-gritty of it, which was like a 20-page document or something.
Yeah. And
then myself, my manager and lawyer went through the whole thing multiple times. It's like, all right, is this making sense? I'm like, yes, this is making sense. I'm like, can we just sign the fucking thing now? We went back and forth for a few times, and like we negotiated and got a bunch of things sorted out. But yeah, eventually it just happened, and thankfully, I don't have to look at a giant contract, or I don't have to, or won't have to for a while.
That's good. Okay. So with that being said, what is next? I mean, I know you just put out your record, but I'm sure you've got something happening.
I'm actually thinking of like, well, I think for the rest of the year after this like kind of tour run, like I want to like try to just write music again, and just like I really want to get I want to start producing for other people and co-writing for other people. Like, I think that's like the next big thing, just to kind of keep the creative juices flowing. I still want to do a lot of video content for this album. Like, I think there's a lot of ideas about like EPs and like other things and like singles and like one-off things for the next year. But ultimately, I just want to be touring a bunch next year and just like performing as much as possible, playing some bigger festivals, hopefully, you know, getting some opening slots for some bigger artists and just playing as much as possible, playing to new crowds, new places, new things. And yeah, maybe put out some more music, but ultimately that and producing for other people are like the big goals for sure.
Any chance we might get you here? Have you been to Red Deer before?
Red Deer. Have I been to Red Deer?
Red Deer, halfway between Calgary and Edmonton.
I don't think I might maybe stopped in while driving between the two, but but I don't think I've ever actually like gone there. Yeah, not
because you played there. Sled Island in Calgary.
Played Sled,
right?
Yep,
right.
Played Sled 2018. That was a crapshoot of a time, but it was still, that was the festival was great, but the whole band dynamic was not popping at that time. But yeah, getting up to like it's. The annoying thing with being Canadian is you never want to travel in Canada.
Yeah.
Because it's such a fucking hassle. So I'm like, I feel so bad that I do want to hit Calgary and Edmonton and like Vancouver, but might play Sled next year, maybe.
Okay.
I think that'd be really cool, and that might be the closest I get to playing that out there.
Well, someday I hope to see you on stage here at Bose, because it's a pretty sick place. I think you'd dig it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It'd be a good night.
Maybe we can put something together. You know, when the time comes to come back from Vancouver, we'll have to cut through Canada. So it sounds like a good stop.
When are you going to Vancouver? You just mean when the time comes?
When the time comes, like we were in Vancouver in April for the last show of the Molly Birch tour run.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a lot, and then we just cut through and just drove back to Winnipeg, but. Seeing that we have to do that, maybe add some Canadian dates next time and just do some of those venues.
One day it'll happen.
One day
it is
it'll
like
happen.
You bring up such a valid point though. I just had this chat with the guys in Black Pistol Fire about touring this night. Like you have to be on the road for 30-35 days, and you might play 12-13 shows in that time, just because it is such a
massive country.
Yeah.
And it's like in that timing in the States you can hit multiple cities, and it's just like you could play multiple shows and be out of there and be like, all right, we don't have to tour as much as the time. Save off so much time. But I know that I still want to be like I am a Canadian artist, and I want to play in those Canadian cities for sure. Whenever it makes sense.
You've done quite a bit of touring through the States too.
Actually, like not as much as people think. Yeah, I've only actually toured this year, and like right when the pandemic started, I had booked like this whole tour, and like we were in the middle of it before when the first COVID death happened in New York. We were there for like New Colossus, which is like a tiny festival, and it's like, all right, I guess we got to go back home, which really sucked because the tour was actually lining up to be really good, but like it got cut in half, and that was the first and only time before March that we actually went on tour.
You were one of the
everything else is.
Yeah, you were one of the bands that was like playing a show or about to play a show, and then it got canceled.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I remember there was like, since it was a festival, I remember like, all right, let's just play these shows and we'll figure out what to do next. And like we went to like our venue, and there was like another band playing. Like it was complete rogue hour where like the organizers just weren't there, and like nobody, like everyone was like completely clearing out, but it's just like we don't care anymore. It's like, hey, this is our time slot. We were supposed to play in like 20 minutes, or like, sorry.
No one knows what's happening.
We don't care anymore. Yeah, pretty much no one knows what's happening. I don't care. We're like, all right, cool. And like pretty much the day after, all of Manhattan was completely empty, and like that picture of like Times Square was just like where no one was out. I'm like, oh, this shit's bad. We should probably get out of New York, y'all. And we were staying like a block away from where that first COVID death happened. It was like, oh shit,
goddamn,
we gotta go.
Yeah,
so, it was a weird time.
Didn't get stranded in the U.S. for a few weeks. That's a good thing.
Oof. No, it's funny. Like when we crossed the border, the only question they asked us was, "Have we been in contact with anyone with like COVID?" And we're like, "No." They're like, "All right, get back in the country." It's like, you know how much shit I could have brought in from the like damn. Like we didn't even grab vegetables to go quarantine because they're not gonna let us bring them across the border. But like they didn't even give a shit. So that was annoying. But,
Times have changed.
Times have changed. Now they're cracking down harder than ever.
Well, Pete, anything else?
No, I think we're just hopefully going to get you out this way at some point. Like to see you on that bow stage.
One day soon. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll do a little date after Sled Island performance or something.
Cool, man. Well, thank you again for making the time. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me, and love the backdrop. This is a cool little man cave. This is giving me D&D vibes for sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
This is it's Communal Creative Studios in downtown Red Deer, an affiliated space with Beau's Barn Stage. It's where we've been recording the podcast here. We got a huge green screen room for video content.
Whoa.
We put out a video with Paulo's sons. They were on the green screen.
Oh, no kidding.
A couple months ago. Yeah. I'll send that.
They'll probably be out there in like a couple months. They tour.
Oh no, they will be.
Yeah,
they were
back.
here in July, and then they're back next month with 5 Alarm Funk. Yeah.
Man,
Road
that's
Dogs.
insane. Road Dogs, truly like the OG for sure.
Yeah, they grind for sure. All right. We'll get you out here sometime soon.
Definitely.
All right, man.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Good luck.
Peace.
Take care, y'all. Peace.
Yeah. Devil fingers.
Go no go for launch.
Go no go for launch. JayWood, everybody.
What a
Jeremy
dude.
Haywood Smith.
That's a good guy. That is just a good guy.
Genuinely seems like a nice dude.
I wanted to ask who that was moving around in the background there, because it was like, I don't know. It just
I'm
seemed-
assuming that may have been Jeremy's partner.
must
but
be a partner.
Who knows?
I'm guessing.
Why didn't you ask?
I don't know. I didn't want to. I didn't.
Bad manners from
What
both
if-
of us.
What if it wasn't his partner? What if it was an awkward story?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think so, though.
No,
I don't think so.
either.
Thanks to JayWood for hanging out on this fine Monday.
Now, if you see him live, like, are you just like, would you
Oh,
walk around
one guaranteed.
Beau's? Like you would
Guaranteed. If he plays Just Saying at Beau's,
watch Patrick do laps.
Yep, doing laps,
Around.
which
Okay.
I usually am doing at Beau's shows, anyways. At least during the headliner.
And that Reaper Bond is, I think Vaken's the one. you're
Yeah,
thinking of.
Vaken.
But that Reaper
I thought
Bond
Reaper
festival
Bond was huge.
I think it's pretty big. Like, Ryan, everybody's played Reaper Bond, right?
I haven't.
Reaper Bond's the big, like, lots of Canadian bands go over there, showcase.
It's like the German South by. Is that what
Yeah,
I'm led to believe?
I
All
think
right.
that would be a fair comparison.
There we go. Reaper Bond. Maybe we'll be there someday too, playing in our spoon and washboard band.
Yeah.
The Haggards.
I'm gonna at one point.
Yeah.
Pick those up and we're gonna get it going.
Oh yeah, we could have some bottles too for sure.
Sure.
Absolutely. All right, Peter, who else joined us with JayWood today?
Speaking of bottles, there's a lovely Sawback growler sitting in front of us, Sawback Brewing Company,
Ting
and
ting.
Go Services Inc.
Hello, hello.
and Beau's Barn Stage.
And the obviously always mentioned Communal Creative Studios, because it's a sick place and cool things happen here. And if you aren't in the loop on that, well, that probably means you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel or multiple social media accounts. And shame on you 2 times.
Wow, just 2.
It's just going to get bigger and
You're
bigger.
getting soft.
It's going to get bigger and bigger.
And you're gonna be back here when?
Wednesday, 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 Wednesday,
The Road the Stage is produced by Ryan Kuly and Ryley Surian at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Beau's Bar and Stage.